How y'all doing? I'm excited for you guys to be here. Are you excited tonight? We have a great show in store for you. But first of all, I want to let you know, this is our 24th year of doing Lacey in Tune Entertainment Series, and we couldn't do it without our sponsors who make this event free to you guys. So I'm going to name off our sponsors, and let's give them some applause as I'm reading off our sponsors. Navy Federal Credit Union, BECU, Lacey Collision, WSECU, Olympia Federal Savings, Columbia Bank, Interstate Batteries, Heritage Bank, Capital Heating and Cooling, American Family Insurance with Christopher Boston, Molina Healthcare, Sequoia's Treehouse, Capitol Mall, Olympic Crest Coffee Roasters, and Best Western Plus. Let's hear it for them. These are the businesses that make this series free. And of course, our Tuesday night, we wouldn't be Tuesday nights without our favorite sponsors, the Lacey Timberland Library and the Friends of the Library. Let's hear for the library. I want to make sure you pick up a schedule from one of our staff or over at the table. We just have a little bit of summer left here in the park, so be sure to grab a schedule. Also, if you need a sweet treat, see Sweetie's Kettle Corn back there for kettle corn and all your snacking needs. Also, we have one of our sponsors here today. Heritage Bank is over there, and looks like they've got free water and some goodies, so go over and thank them and say hi to them today. Also, we have Rose Crown Salon over here. She's doing a raffle. Her business is just right down the street, so pick up some information on all the cool stuff she offers. And we also have Maya with the Family Support Center over there doing free activities for the kids. So if your kids want to make a craft tonight, they can head over and do that. Tomorrow at noon, our series continues with the Katie Wade Band playing some original country music here at noon. And next Tuesday night, join us for the Noddits. The Noddits is a kids rock band. They're not kids, but kids will like them. It's always very confusing, but they will be a lot of fun. They're here next Tuesday. And our Saturday Entertainment Combos wraps up this Saturday with the danceable music of Sway at 7 o'clock, followed at dusk by Black Panther. So you'll want to be here for that. We want to thank TC Media for coming out each week and videoing our shows and replaying them on TCTV.
So everybody knows there's something happening on the stage. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our show. My name is Amanda. This is Shanti, and we are the owners of Creature Teachers. So what we do is go around to schools, libraries, parks, all over the place, lots of events, and we teach about the animals that tend to get a bad reputation. Those are the ones that people think are mean and scary and yucky, but they're actually very cool animals and very important in their ecosystems, the places where they live. So hopefully by getting to see them up close and personal and learn more about them, you'll come to love and appreciate them as much as we do. So first, we have a couple of ground rules to go over. Some of our animals have excellent hearing, so that's a very good reason for us to keep our volume down. Yeah. I know it's very exciting, and there are lots of you here. So we're going to do our best when we walk by with the animals so you can see them closer, all the way in the back. We're going to try to keep our volume down. And of course, our hands to ourselves. We want our animals to stay nice and happy and have a good time just like the rest of us. So that brings me to our second big rule. If we can be really nice to our animals during the show, we'll be able to pet some of them after the show. Now, you don't have to pet if you don't want to. I know some of you might be a little bit nervous. If you are interested in petting, though, we want to be very gentle, because our animals have feelings. They can get bruises just like us. So if you're interested in petting, can you guys show me 2 fingers close together like this? If you can hear me, oh, yeah, that's a good sign you can hear me in the back, too. All right, then show me a nice, gentle 2-finger pet on your arm. Very good. We're going to be gentle just like that when we get to the petting, and we'll remind you at the end. And of course, we're not going to touch their heads, because no one likes to get poked in the face all day. And at either end of our table, we have hand sanitizer, because lots of people touch these animals, so there'll be lots of people germs on them. We'll want to wash our hands when we're all done. So without further ado, we're going to start small and work our way up.
Okay, can you guys hear me in the back? Okay, we're going to start small. Amanda's going to walk around with these guys. These are our Madagascar hissing cockroaches. Shh. And we're going to keep this little walkway clear because she's going to be walking right through here. So scooch, scooch, scooch. All right, so she's got two of them. We have a male and a female. Their names are Nick and Knack. And these guys are really, really important in their ecosystems in Madagascar. Can you guys raise your hands quietly if you know where Madagascar is? Not the movie, the island. Okay, still some of you know. It's off the coast of Africa. It's got lots of different habitats and ecosystems, and these guys live in the rainforest over there. They're super important because they help use up all the resources. And in Madagascar, it's an island, so they don't have a lot of room like we do in the big countries in USA, so they don't have big cattle farms and stuff. So they use a lot of their natural resources for their own food. So the cockroaches are important in their ecosystem for animals and for people. They will actually be a source of food for lots of things over there. Now, these guys are not gross and dirty like people think of with cockroaches. They're actually very common pets. They're very easy to keep. They're fun. And these guys aren't super nervous, so we're not going to hear that hissing sound that they make. But can you guys give me a nice, low, quiet hissing sound? Very good. That hissing sound came out of your mouth. But our cockroaches don't make that sound with their mouth. These guys make that sound with the rest of their body parts. You guys know that crickets chirp, right? They chirp with their legs. Have you guys ever made armpit farts before? I don't deny it. Don't do it. These guys make those same types of sounds with their body parts. It's called stridulation. Can you guys quietly say stridulation? Very good. It's a big fancy word that means you make sounds with your body that is not your mouth. So the cockroaches have a bunch of little holes in the sides of their tummy, and they suck air in and they let it hiss out like a balloon. So that hissing sound comes out of their sides. It's really, really interesting to watch. Ours are so used to people, though, that they don't really do that anymore. So we never can show anybody. They're really cool. We like to have them climb around. Can you guys raise your hand if you know how many legs an insect has? Just raise your hand. Don't say it out loud. Oh, lots of people know. They have 6 legs. They have 3 on each side, and these guys have lots of little pricklies on their legs that help them climb really well. So when I walk around with them a lot of the time, they'll be climbing up and down my arms, kind of all over the place. Now, the reason I'm not too worried about them climbing all over me is because if they fall or jump off of me, which they do, they have a really tough exoskeleton. Can you guys quietly say exoskeleton? An exoskeleton is like armor. You guys seen crabs and beetles and stuff before? Yeah, they all have exoskeletons. Our bones are on the inside, and they give us structure and strength, when lots of animals have their bones on the outside. So it's just like a suit of armor. But armor doesn't grow. So every time they get bigger and they outgrow that armor, they have to pop that shed off. They outgrow it, they discard it, and they grow new skin underneath, and then they harden back up to a new exoskeleton. So these guys will jump off of me when I'm talking about them, and they'll scurry under the table, but that exoskeleton keeps them from getting hurt. Now, if they were in the wild, that exoskeleton's really important because it helps keep them safe. If a predator went in to grab them, they'd let out that loud hiss, and then the predator drops them thinking they've picked up a snake or something scary. That exoskeleton keeps them from getting hurt when they get dropped. Now, Amanda's going to be finishing up a quick pass over here. We're going to move to some other little creepy crawlies that tend to make people nervous. Now, I asked you guys how many legs insects have. Raise your hand if you know how many legs arachnids have, or if you know what an arachnid is for that matter. Shh. Arachnids are spiders. They're spiders and scorpions. There's lots of animals that have 8 legs. Now, we know lots of people get nervous, so we're going to start out here, and I'll hold Fuzzbird up here with Amanda, and then we'll walk Fuzzbird around in a little while. So I want everyone to still be nice and quiet. That way we don't scare her, because she's still a baby.
And usually I carry Fuzzbird out in my hands, but the wind is very scary for her. So we're going to keep her in her tank. Probably going to be more comfortable for some of you who are arachnophobic, I'd imagine. And we're going to try a few different serpentine patterns in the hopes that everybody can see as well as possible. Fortunately, Fuzzbird will be on the table after the show when you get to come up close. So if you can't see her very well, don't worry, you won't miss her. Now mention that I usually carry her out in my hands. So raise your hand if you believe that I'm arachnophobic. I'm afraid of spiders. None of the adults. Oh, one adult, thank you. It's true, I've been afraid of spiders my entire life. I saw a movie that has a very appropriate title when I was way too young to see it. And ever since then, I have been very nervous. But why can I hold Fuzzbird if I'm scared? Well, phobias, irrational fears, they tend to happen when we get the wrong information and we don't have any exposure to that animal to learn for ourselves. So we don't have big tarantulas like rose-haired tarantulas, like Fuzzbird. We don't have them around. We can't learn about them in person. And the only time you really see them is in monster movies where they're the bad guy. If she's scared, the first thing she'll want to do is just run and hide in her burrow. She doesn't want to pick a fight with something as big as me. I'm very scary to her if she feels threatened. Now, if she can't hide, her second line of defense is actually pretty funny. It's not biting, it's not getting mean, but she's covered in lots of hairs. How many of you guys have seen big tarantulas before? Raise your hand. You see all the hair all over their bodies? Yeah, does it look soft? Yeah, like an 8-legged kitten, right? But those hairs on her back are actually very prickly. So she's stuck in a corner. She'll take her back legs and flick those hairs up into the air, and they'll get stuck in a predator's eyes and nose, and it's very itchy, and hopefully that animal will stop messing with her. And then she runs away with a little bald spot on her rump. It's pretty cute. Remember, we want to keep our voices nice and quiet. It is very similar to a porcupine, actually. Her very last resort, if she has no other options, that's the only time she's going to think about biting. And even though they are venomous, the venom is very mild. So it'd be like a bee sting. Wouldn't be fun, would kind of hurt, but it also wouldn't be dangerous. That's how I know I'm perfectly safe handling Fuzzbird. When she sits in my hands, all she does is lay down a bunch of web. It's her favorite thing to do. Now, they don't spin webs like spiders you find in your garden, the big ones that you might walk into when you don't see them. She likes to lay down a net outside her burrow. And she'll just keep laying that down till there's a nice blanket and sit in her burrow and put her sensitive little feet out on that net. And if it vibrates a little bit, it might be because there's a little animal walking on it, something small enough to eat. She'll come out and investigate. But if it's a big vibration, she knows it might be a predator and she'll stay safe in her burrow. When she grows, she's going to have to shed her exoskeleton. And up here after the show, you probably won't be able to see it in the back, but you'll be able to see up close on the table. This is not a dead tarantula. This is a molt. So they'll just pull right out of the bag, pull their legs out like they're pulling them out of leggings with a fresh new exoskeleton that'll harden up in a few days. Now, our next animal you won't be able to see in the back right now. We're not going to carry her around in our hands because we are very dangerous to her. She is our African bullfrog, also known as a pixie frog, hence her name Pixie. Now, she loves to hide up in this round tank up here, which you'll be able to come and look at after the show. But African bullfrogs, they have stubby little legs, and they just kind of plop along. They're not good at the jumping thing. They use those legs for making burrows. Now, why aren't we going to carry her? Well, how many of you have ever caught a frog before? Frog or a salamander? Yeah. They feel slimy, right? Slimy on their skin. That's because all amphibians have a mucus layer on their skin that has to stay nice and wet so they stay healthy. That means they like to be in wet places or in the water. They can take in oxygen through their skin. Anything that's in the water can go through their skin, but that means that they're really sensitive. Anything that's on our hands, any chemicals or lotions, that can also go through her skin, and it can make her really sick. And that's why we don't handle her if we don't have to. But that's also really helpful for scientists. That makes her a good bioindicator species. Just a big word that means if the frogs are sick, there might be yucky stuff in the water, and it's time to do a river cleanup. Really helpful. Now, pixie frogs are very interesting because they have a really cool parental dynamic. That means the parents have an interesting way of raising the babies. See, most babies with amphibians don't get any help from their parents. How many of you guys have seen tadpoles before? Yeah, those are baby amphibians. They live in the water, they breathe through gills, and when they get older, they go through a metamorphosis, which means they transform. They get legs and lungs, and they can live on the land. And they have to do that all by themselves for most amphibian species. But the pixie frog dads are very good at protecting their babies. They will watch over them until they grow up, and if the pool shrinks and is getting smaller and smaller as it gets hotter and hotter outside, those pixie frog dads will actually dig a path to a bigger body of water and guide their tadpoles to safety. So they are very good, very devoted dads. So let's get to something you can see a little bit closer, and we'll talk about reptiles.
Okay, so our first reptile is super sweet and everybody loves her, but she's got good hearing. So while we walk around with her, we don't want people reaching up or shrieking or being noisy. She'll probably keep her head out of her shell a lot better if we're nice and quiet. Now, I'm going to say some numbers, and I want everyone to quietly raise their hand when they think that I have told them how old our tortoise Atlas is. How many of you think Atlas is 25 years old? How many of you guys think Atlas is 40 years old? How many of you think Atlas is 65 years old? Everybody. Atlas is 6 years old. Atlas is still a little baby. She's very young. When she hatched out of her egg, she was the size of an Oreo cookie. She was tiny and adorable, and that's why everybody gets one. They don't stay tiny. They get really big. She's 6 years old, and she's already about 20 pounds, so she's very hard to move around. But when she's done growing, you guys, when she's done growing, she's going to weigh 200 pounds. And she's going to live about 100 years. So she's got a long way to go. My great-grandkids that don't exist are going to have this tortoise. So it's a long, long time to have a pet animal. Now, the dark part growing in is all the shell growth she's had since I got her 2 years ago. So they grow very quickly. Now, these guys are from Africa. It's super hot in Africa. They live on the grasslands and the desert areas. Now, is it normally super hot in the Pacific Northwest? No, it is cold and rainy and miserable. So that means I'm going to have a 200-pound tortoise living in my house for the rest of its life. There's a couple of months where she can spend outside, get some happy sunshine, and eat some grass. But for the most part, she's going to have to spend that inside. How many of you guys want a 200-pound tortoise in your bedroom? You say this now until I tell you that it needs to be 95 to 105 degrees, and tortoises are only good at two things: eating and pooping. So you're going to be cleaning up a lot of poop for like 100 years in 90 degrees. It does not sound pleasant to me, and I love my tortoises, and that's all I do. And I will tell you a secret. My husband does not like reptiles. So I do all of that by myself with all of my animals. And I have a lot. You will meet more of them this evening. But these tortoises are super, super, super important to their ecosystems. And in Africa, where they live, they don't eat food that is really super rich in nutrients and vitamins. It's all really poorly nutritional value as far as food goes. So it's like dried out grasses and kind of cactus. So they take a long time to get to that really big 200-pound stage. In the wild, a tortoise Atlas's size could be 30 or 40 years old. But she's in captivity. She doesn't have scary predators. She doesn't have to hide all the time. She can just stay out and eat all the time. So she gets really big really fast. So everyone that gets those cute little tiny tortoises the size of a golf ball or an Oreo, they get really big really fast and they don't know what to do with them. Did you guys know they have dog and cat shelters, right, for animals that need homes? Did you know they have tortoise shelters? They have tortoise rescues because there are so many tortoises out there that need homes. It's super sad. There are more sulcatas in captivity and shelters than there are in the wild. Super sad. That's why I tell people, go rescue them, adopt them, don't buy them. Go adopt them. They need homes. They need love, even if that's all they do is eat and poop. They're pretty awesome. Now with Atlas's shell right here, we talked about those bumps. I'm going to hold up this shell while Amanda's holding up Atlas. This is pretty hard to see from the back, but when you come up to the table, you'll be able to take a look. It's a turtle shell. This is from an aquatic turtle, so a swimming turtle, not a tortoise, but all turtles and tortoises should have nice, smooth shells. And that's because their spine and their ribs are all attached. Can you guys all touch your spine? Touch your spine, touch your spine. You guys have really strong backbones that support your whole body. Now with these guys, their spine and ribs, all that's attached to their shell, so they can't come out of their shell. The cartoons are lying to you. They're attached. So if they have a whole bunch of bumps in their back because their shell grew kind of incorrectly, that means they're going to have a bunch of kinks in their backbone, and that can be pretty uncomfortable when you're going to weigh 200 pounds and live 100 years. So it's super important that we go to our libraries and we read books and we research what our animals need before we get them, because we can't fix that shell once it's like that, and they can't tell us what they need because they can't talk. So we have to do lots of reading, lots of research, find out what they need to be happy and healthy, since we're making them live with us. Now our next animal also has super good hearing, so we're still going to be super quiet when Amanda walks around with him. How many of you guys have heard of a Komodo dragon? Well, this is not a Komodo dragon, but it's the cousin of a Komodo dragon. This is called a savanna monitor. They're from Africa, just like our tortoise. Now, Komodo dragons are from Indonesia. Shh. She's going to walk around if we're really quiet. Komodo dragons are from Indonesia and Asia. They get really big. They can get 12 feet long. My table is 6 feet long, so twice as long as my table, and they eat cows. In the wild in Africa, where he'd be from, he would be really good at raiding nests. So tortoise, turtle, crocodile, bird, any eggs he could dig up or find, he would eat. Now, how many of you guys eat eggs? Yeah, do you guys eat eggs with the shell or without the shell? Shh. He eats his eggs with the shell. The shell has got tons of calcium in it. He also eats little mice and chicks and all kinds of things. In the wild, he'd be called an opportunistic eater. Can you guys say opportunistic? That just means he's going to eat whatever he finds. He's a carnivore, so as long as it's not a plant and it's moving or it's an egg, he's going to try and eat it because he doesn't know when he's going to find food again. It's really hot where he lives. So he also lives in my house most of the year, so he's got to have a really hot enclosure with deep dirt so he can dig and not get bored because he's a predator. How many of you guys have been to a zoo before? How many of you guys have seen animals that pace in front of their window? They pace back and forth. Yeah, that's from animals who are bored. Those are usually predators, because predators have to think about catching their food. They're not like an antelope or a moose that just have to sit there and munch on grass. They have to think about how to catch their food, and sitting in a cage all day, no matter how well you try to take care of them, they get bored. They get bored just like we do, and the animals can get kind of crazy, and they can pace. So with him being a predator, he's got to have a lot of stuff to keep him busy. So I try to hide his food or give him different things. He also has a leash, so we go on walks. We try to keep him happy, because it's hard to do that with predators in captivity. Now, Amanda's going to swing back around up here, and we'll try to show you guys a couple of his features that we're going to compare to our snakes in a little bit. But as she's come around, have you guys been able to see his tongue flicking out of his face? He's got a really long tongue, and it's forked, just like a snake's, and he flicks it out. Now, he still has nostrils on the top of his face, but he's got a really long tongue that he uses to smell. Did you guys know that lizards and snakes can smell with their tongue? If they have a forked tongue like that, they can smell with their tongue. And it's split, so they can smell in 2 different directions. That means he can smell a little bit this way, and then he can smell a little bit that way, so he could smell bugs over here on my hand and then smell a girlfriend or a predator or whatever on the other side. He's got a very enhanced sense of smell, and he's very good at figuring out where he wants to go or where he doesn't want to go. He's very used to us too, so he knows that some of our smells on animals are just going to be normal smells, but sometimes we'll have someone come along who has pet chickens, and he gets all excited about that smell because chickens and birds mean eggs, and he gets very excited. Now, we also have that sense of tongue. He flicks his tongue out a lot. I'm sure you guys can see that as she walks by. He's also got 2 really big ear holes. We talked about that with the tortoise too. 2 really big holes right behind his eyes and his jawbone. And then on his jawbone, it's really sturdy and solid. Can you guys all grab your bottom jaw? Sturdy, solid jaws. You guys have to chew and take bites out of your food. He has to chew and take bites out of his food. He's got eyelids, so he's blinking and keeping his eyes moist like us. And he's got a super long tail. Can you guys see his tail as she walked around? It's over half his body length, and it's very muscular and strong. He can actually use that as an extra limb to push himself up when he's climbing. Now, we're gonna go up to our first snakes. And I know that can make some people super nervous and some of us super excited. And I know some people are gonna be scared. So raise your hand if you're nervous about snakes. Oh, not so many. Okay, good. There's a few. But we're not going to try and scare anybody. I don't want anyone getting worried about being bit or constricted or eaten or anything silly like that. Our snakes are super wonderful, and we love teaching people about them. So we're going to still be nice and quiet. We're not going to reach out and smack or pinch at any of our snakes. Shh.
We like to start small and adorable. Testing, testing. We good? Alrighty. We love to start small and adorable with our snakes. This here is Bigia, and she's a ball python. Raise your hand if you've heard of that before. Yes, lots of you. They are very popular as pets because they tend to be really nice. Now, of course, just because they're nice doesn't mean that they're going to be easy to take care of, and that's important to remember. Reptiles are cold-blooded animals. Now, so are amphibians. They're going to be a little different from amphibians, though. Actually, no such thing as a slimy reptile. They're going to be smooth and dry unless they've been swimming. And their babies don't start as tadpoles. They look like mini adults. But they are still cold-blooded like amphibians. Have you guys heard that word before, cold-blooded? Yeah. Does it mean that they're mean? Does it mean they're heartless? No. It means they can't thermoregulate on their own. Can you guys say thermoregulate? Good job. It's kind of a big old word, but it just means that they can't produce their own heat from the calories they eat if they get too cold. So we're warm-blooded. We eat lots of food, 3 meals a day and dessert and snacks. So if we get cold, we can dance or exercise, burn those calories, and we'll warm ourselves up. But cold-blooded animals can't do that. If they get too cold, they have to go in the sunshine. And if they get too warm, they have to go in the shade. So what happens if we're keeping them in a tank? They can't go wherever they want. That means we need to keep the hot spot just right. We need to keep the cool spot just right. We need to make sure the moisture in the air is right so their skin is healthy and they don't get sick. And every species has a different limit. They like it warmer or cooler, drier or wetter. There's a lot of research to be done before you can take care of them properly. So it's not all fun and games, just like with the tortoises. So while Shanti's walking around with Bigia, I'm going to talk about her colors a little bit. It's easier to see. She has the gray, brown, and black coloration there. This species is native to West Africa. They live on the ground, so they'll hide by shrubs, hide in the dirt. You guys think that's good camouflage for that environment? Yeah, she could hide pretty well. And she's also an example of a python. Most people think those would be bigger, but ball pythons only get 5 feet at most. So she's only going to get a little bigger. Now, it'll be hard to see from afar, but she also has a snake superpower. On her lip, she has a bunch of little pits, little square pits. They're not her nostrils, they're under her nostrils. And we call those heat pits. Now, this species is nocturnal. Who's heard that word before? Nocturnal? Yeah, that means she likes to be awake at night. She hunts at night, moves at night. It can be pretty dark at night. So if she's hunting, she can sit still and feel the heat of a passing rat or mouse with those heat pits and know exactly where to strike, even if she can't see it. It's like having heat vision. And it's also one of the ways we can tell she's a python and not a boa, because boas don't have those heat pits like pythons do. So we're going to switch her out for our next friend. We'll talk about our first boa. But while Shanti's making that switch, I'm going to ask you guys by show of hands, who thinks pythons are generally bigger than boas? Raise your hand if you think pythons are bigger. Oh, raise your hand if you think boas are bigger. It's always a boa crowd. Well, technically, you are all correct. Just depends on which category we're talking about. So the longest snake species in the world is the reticulated python, which can get over 30 feet. But the heaviest snake species is the green anaconda, a type of boa. They can get 600 pounds. So now that I've told you that, Cebuya, our rainbow boa, doesn't seem very big, does he? Remember, we need to stay nice and quiet. Now, they do call him a rainbow boa. He doesn't seem very rainbowy. He's mostly a rusty red color, but when you get him out in full sunlight, his scales have an iridescence that creates a rainbow pattern just like the surface of a bubble. It's very, very pretty, and that's how they get their name. And you can see he also has some neat bubble patterns on his body. It's another example of disruptive camouflage. It's a little bit different, breaks up his shape. But the thing I really want to point out with his pattern, take a look at his sides. You guys see those yellow spots on his sides? He has a bunch of circles with some yellow and a smaller black circle inside that look an awful lot like eyes. So if he's hiding in the bushes and a predator's looking in, thinking, is there something good to eat in there? They're going to see a bunch of eyes staring back. Maybe they don't want to mess with that many animals. So it's a great deception that he can use. Instead of eyelids, snakes have a clear, hard scale that covers their eye, kind of like a contact lens. And every time they shed their skin, which is every time they grow bigger, they'll get a fresh lens over their eyes. Now, up here in this bowl, we have a bunch of snake sheds you can feel after the show. It's essentially like an old snake jacket, and very similar to the tarantula we talked about earlier. They just got too big for their skin and got fresh skin underneath. Even we shed our skin. We just do it in little pieces. It sits in the corners as dust. And as we get to some of our bigger snakes, when it's easier to see, we're going to talk about a few more of those features. I'm sure most of you know that snakes swallow their food whole, right? Yeah. So that's a hint as to the second difference between lizards and snakes. Remember, Drogon has a big, solid jaw, just like us. He takes bites out of his food, he chews his food, but snakes have stretchy jaws. We already knew that about snakes. They swallow their food whole. So while Shanti's switching him out, do you think she's in any danger of being eaten? Think he could eat her? No, she's way too big to be food because jaws can only stretch so far. Now, of course, a lot of people worry about the bite. They can still bite you, right? But stretchy jaws aren't as strong as solid jaws either. So the most he could do is hold on. It would feel like getting stuck on a thorn bush. Not dangerous, wouldn't hurt that bad. So he has a completely harmless bite because he has no venom. What about that squeeze, though? Can't they squeeze? What if he's up on my neck? Well, here's the thing. Squeezing takes a lot of energy. And they're never... He's making a perfect little frame for you guys, by the way, our next friend here. But about the squeezing takes a lot of energy, so a snake will never waste that much energy squeezing something they know they can't eat. They're just going to squeeze enough to hold on, because they don't have arms and legs. So I'm going to walk around with our next perfect little framed friend here, while Shanti tells you a bit about him.
Now look at the board.
Okay, everybody can still hear me in the back? All right. So we're going to walk around with one of my favorites, and he's going to be our pop quiz. So Amanda's going to be walking around with Willie. He's kind of perfectly coiled up right now, like waiting for the camera. So these guys are from Australia, where it's super, super hot and arid. Do you guys think he's got good camouflage? Can you guys see his camouflage? He's got nice stripes. It makes him look like he's got shadows on him, so when he's hunting through the grass, helps him blend in really well. It's that disruptive camouflage we talked about earlier. Now, we have already talked about the differences with boas and pythons, so we're going to quiz you, see if you were paying attention. Now, it'll be a little hard because we're trying to make a quick pass for everyone, but if you can manage to get a quick look at his face, tell me if you can see any heat pits on his top lip. We will determine whether he's a boa or a python once we've made a pass through. Now, this type of snake is called a woma. It's spelled like woman without the N on the end. W-O-M-A, and womas are from Australia. They hunt other reptiles. And they're special because they're still a constrictor like our first two snakes, but they're going to hunt in burrows. So he's full grown. He's not going to get any bigger. So he's going to fit down in burrows. Do you guys know what a burrow is? Okay, burrows are holes in the ground. Rabbits and little animals dig them up. Sometimes tarantulas dig burrows. Snakes don't dig burrows, but they will utilize them to either stay out of the heat, stay out of the cold, they'll look for food in there. But burrows are usually really small. They're hard to squeeze through. That's why he's so small. He's not going to get much bigger. But how's he going to constrict and wrap around things in a tiny little tunnel? Well, he does something kind of funny. Instead of constricting, he will use the sides of the burrow wall to help squeeze his food. So he'll come up to it, he'll grab it, and then he'll throw elbows and he'll push it up against the wall, and that's how he constricts his food. So if I go into his cage and I tap him, he throws a coil at me like he's throwing an elbow. It's hilarious to watch. But that's how they squeeze their food because they can't have room to wrap around them in the burrow. Try to see where Amanda's at on her passes. There she is. So as she's coming around, is anyone seeing any heat pits on the top lip? It's kind of hard with these quick passes, but if you see heat pits on the top lip or you don't see heat tips, we're going to ask that question. We're going to figure out if everyone thinks he's a boa or if he's a python. All right, we're going to be wrapping that up here in just a second. Now, how many of you guys think Willie could eat Amanda? Just one person. Okay, good. Not everybody. He is far too small to be eating Amanda. Her shoulders are too broad. She's way too big. He wouldn't even register her as something to eat. Now, that doesn't mean she couldn't get bit, but he's more likely to be hurt by us than we are by him. That's why we always do that gentle two-finger pet when we do petting, because animals can get bruises and injuries just like we can. We try to be super careful with them. Have you guys tried to climb a tree before? Have you tried to do it without arms and legs? So they're not going to have arms and legs, so they have to hang on to us somehow. They're going to use their body. Some of our snakes are much more relaxed and docile as far as temperament goes, so they just kind of drape themselves on us because they know we're not going to drop them. Our boa, he gets a little more nervous, so he wraps around my arm because he doesn't want to get dropped. Willie's kind of wrapped around her hand to hang on. He doesn't want to get dropped either. These guys like being on the ground. Now that she's up here, how many of you think he's a boa? How many of you think he's a python? About half and half. Well, it is a trick question. He is actually indeed a python, even though he doesn't have heat pits. Now, we told you that. It's because he hunts cold-blooded prey. He won't need heat pits if he's hunted cold-blooded prey before. So he's special. He's one of 2 types of pythons in the whole world that don't have heat pits, and both of those pythons live in Australia. Now, our last snake we're going to talk about is another boa. We've had 2 pythons. We had 1 boa. We're bringing out our last boa, and she's pretty big. So we're going to walk around with her, and we're going to talk about the differences with the lizards and snakes again, because she's nice and big, and it's easier to see. But we're still going to be nice and quiet. We're not going to reach out and try and scare her. She's got a handicap. She is blind in one eye, so she can't see. So I don't want anyone to scare her by accident, because she's really nice, and she's my favorite. Now, she's also albino. Lots of different animals can be albino. Alligators, whales, deer, dogs, people. Lots of things can be albino. Shh. But in the wild, albino animals don't usually do so good. They stand out like a sore thumb. They can't hide from predators. They can't catch their food because their food sees them coming. So usually you don't see albino animals in the wild. Penelope is a beautiful yellow and orange and pink color. Do you guys think she would camouflage well in the rainforest? No, she would do so badly out in the wild. But since she's in captivity with people, she has no predators. And she gets food all the time. She gets to stay nice and healthy and grow. Now, we did this with the tortoise, so you guys know how. We're going to raise our hand when you think I've told you how old she is. How many of you think she's 10 years old? How many of you think she's 15 years old? How many of you think she's 25 years old? Oh, I think you guys know my trick already. She's only 6 years old too. So she's over 6 feet long and she's 6 years old. So that means she's growing about 1 foot every year. And she's not done growing. When she's done growing, she's going to grow 2 to 4 more feet, so she could be 8 to 10 feet long when she's done growing. They don't have snake kibble. It's just not a thing. They have kibble for dogs and cats. They do not have that for snakes. So if you want a really cool big snake, you have to be willing to feed them what they need, because that fur and feather and bone is what keeps them healthy. So right now, she's eating really large rats once every 2 weeks. Sometimes she gets guinea pigs, depending on what stock they have in. And I know there's someone had a pet guinea pig here, so sorry about that, but they're on the food chain. So if that makes you uncomfortable, it's why we do research before we get the pets. before we get the pets. Not afterwards, because that's when people find out they don't want the pet anymore and they end up in the shelter. Super sad. So Penelope was someone's pet, and they decided they wanted to go backpacking in Alaska, and they couldn't really take a snake with them. So now she lives with me. I've had her for about 2 years, and she's grown 3.5 feet in those 2 years. So she's grown a lot since I got her, because she's gotten lots of food and space and heat. Now in South America, these guys would be eating monkeys and parrots and other really large animals. They're really good at adapting. Can you guys say adaptation? Means they're going to get good at hiding and changing in their environment. She can hunt in trees or in caves or in the water or on land. She can adapt to wherever she is to find the food she wants. She could even eat small caiman if they were small enough and she was quick enough. Now these guys are not going to eat that stuff in captivity. You can't just go down to the store and buy a monkey. Well, in some places you can, but not here. So right now, that's why we talk. She's going to eat rabbits. She's going to eat small pigs, big rats. That's the kind of stuff she's going to eat. But do you guys think she's going to eat me? No, I'm still way too big. She's just barely longer than me now. So I'm still way too big for her to eat. And even when she's 10 feet long, I'll still be way too big for her to eat. And there's all kinds of stories out there about how snakes like to measure people by wrapping around them to eat them and all these silly myths. None of them are true. Snakes will be able to tell how tall I am, and I look a lot bigger than I actually am. So that's a pretty imposing way to look at it. If you're way down on the ground as a little snake, or even a long snake, they still have to look way up and see how big I am. I look pretty scary from way up there. I don't look like food. Now with Penelope, she's a boa constrictor. So we talked about boas. They give birth to live babies, just like people and dogs and cats. So there's no eggs. They just give birth to babies. Do you guys know that snakes don't teach their babies how to hunt? Snakes and reptiles usually do not take care of their babies. They leave their eggs, they leave the babies, and they have stuff called instincts. Can you guys say instincts? That means they teach themselves, or they know how to from birth, how to hunt, what they're going to hunt, how to hide, how to stay healthy, and they're really good at it. People aren't very good at that. That's why we're with our parents for 18 years. We're not good at that. We could not survive after being born by ourselves. So we have lots of respect for these guys. We're not worried about them hurting us because we treat them with respect. That's why when we go through our line and we're petting, if we see someone that's not behaving the best, we'll probably skip you. It's not for hurt your feelings. We want our animals safe, and we want them to continue to enjoy going, because if they don't like it, they don't have to go. They're going because they like this and they behave and they like being treated nicely. So what we're going to do after a couple of quick announcements when we finish up, we're going to walk by the table. We'll walk by the table. We'll touch stuff. There's Snake Shed. Our Pixie Frog you guys can look at. She's kind of large and hard to miss, so you can look at her. We have our alligator skull, our little baby tarantula fuzzbert, that tarantula molt, so the big skin, you can put your hand on it and see how big it is. We have our Savannah monitor skull, the lizard skull. You can look at his teeth and that solid jaw. We have a turtle shell, and up here we have a boomerang. I don't want anyone picking it up, but you can look at it. We have reptiles painted on this. It's from Australia, and over there, reptiles are super important, and they're all over the place. Here we have stuff like mammals, rabbits, squirrels, raccoons. There they have big monitor lizards and pythons, and they're just all over the place, and nobody knows that it's any big deal, because that's just how they are. So the Aborigines paint them and carve them on everything. We have our Woma python, and you can look at his face. And we have a snake's vertebrae over here. You guys can gently touch that and feel that. They have bones. And one more quick touch before we go. Do you guys remember how big our lizard tail was? Show me on your arms. Show me on your arms. How big was our lizard tail? He was pretty big. It was half his body length. So, we've told you Penelope was 6 feet long. Show me with your arms how big her tail should be. How big's her tail? Her body's 6 feet long. Show me how big her tail is. Okay, show them how big her tail is. There we go. She's 6 feet long, and she's got a 6-inch tail. Teeny tiny little thing. Everybody always asks me, where do you know how the tail starts? The tail starts where they poop. It's called a cloaca. Say cloaca with me. So if anyone's interested, that's what it is. You can look it up. We have our snakes up here for petting. When we say go, not a moment sooner, stay. We're going to do petting. When you come by, you'll get that nice close look. You can see that she doesn't have ears. You'll be able to see that even though she only has one good eye, she still will beat you in a staring contest. You'll be able to look at her cute little tail. You'll be able to see she doesn't have legs, and she's got that cute little face with a floppy jaw. Amanda's gonna hold Penelope. She's gonna have our tortoise Atlas out. We're still gonna do that gentle 2-finger pet on the body only, not leg poking or face poking, because no one likes to get poked in the face. It's rude. So we're gonna be super nice to our animals. I'm gonna have our big lizard out. If you hang on to those really good questions, you guys can ask us. We'll start over here. We'll walk up the stairs calmly and quietly. We'll do a 2-finger touch, pet animals. We'll pet the stuff on the table kindly without picking up things and dropping them. We'll take a look at the animals. We'll get down here. We'll pet 2 more animals. We'll ask questions, and then we will use hand sanitizer and get off the stage for everybody else so everyone gets a turn. So once our librarians are done with their announcements, then we can start. So if you want to line up when they are done, they will say go.
All right, can we give a hand to creature teachers here? And all their animal friends, reptile friends. So as they said, in just a moment, we're going to line up and very quietly, touch teachers will play some music. We'll give you guys a chance to visit. Want to remind you, next Tuesday is the Not-Its here at 6:30. This Saturday is Sway, followed by Black Panther, the movie at dusk. And you ready? All right, line can form right over here. Orderly, careful. We'll make sure everybody gets a turn. They won't leave until you've had a chance to see the animals. And then Felicia, go ahead and play some music in the background there.